Today we decided to 100% Senua Saga Hellblade II. That meant unlocking every achievement from the base game, finding every lore stone, discovering every hidden face, and exploring everything Ninja Theory had created. Now, unlike most 100% completion challenges, this wasn't about grinding levels or spending hours farming collectibles. Instead, it was about slowing down, exploring every corner of Iceland, and experiencing Senua's journey exactly as it was meant to be experienced. So, was Hellblade 2 actually worth completing 100%? Let's find out. So, our journey begins aboard a slave ship sailing towards Iceland. Before we even have a chance to understand what's happening, a violent storm tears the ship apart, throwing Senua into the freezing sea. After washing ashore, we climb the cliffs overlooking the coastline, following the screams echoing across the landscape until we discover the aftermath of the slavers' attack. Right from the start, it was clear that this wasn't trying to be a fast-paced action game. The atmosphere did most of the heavy lifting. The constant whispers inside Senua's mind returned immediately, questioning every decision we made while guiding us deeper inland. As we pushed forward, we reached our first lore stone of the game. Knowing there were 18 more of them to find, we weren't taking any chances. Every time the path split, we explored both directions. Every time we saw a suspicious looking corner, we investigated it. Missing a single collectible would mean replaying an entire chapter later on, and that wasn't something I wanted to do. Not long afterwards, we encountered our first enemies. The combat immediately felt familiar to anyone who first played the first game. Every fight was personal. Instead of throwing dozens of enemies at us, the game focused on one duels where timing was everything. Blocking an enemy's attack created the perfect opening. Dodging heavy swings became just as important as attacking. Every successful counter felt incredibly satisfying thanks to the brutal animations and incredible sound design. There aren't dozens of combos to learn, no complicated skill trees, just raw, grounded sword fights where every mistake matters. As we continued climbing through the rocky cliffs, the game introduced us to our first environmental puzzle, reminding us that exploration would be just as important as every single combat journey throughout the game. Eventually, we tracked down the slave master responsible for the attack. After defeating him and forcing him to reveal where the remaining slaves had been taken, the first Xbox notification appeared on screen. The next sign unlocked. Our first story mission, one chapter complete, one lore stone collected, and our journey to 100% had officially begun. Without wasting any time, we continued deeper into Iceland and arrived at Freyslog. Almost immediately, we came across another lore stone hidden amongst the abandoned settlement. It was already becoming very obvious that this completion run was going to reward players who explored carefully instead of rushing through the story. As we searched the deserted village, we began solving environmental puzzles while slowly making our way through the ruined buildings. Before long, we discovered our first hidden face. Honestly, these became one of my most favorite collectibles in the entire game. Instead of placing glowing objects around the world, Ninja Theory hid enormous faces within trees and rock formations that only became visible from specific angles. Finding one almost always felt rewarding because you knew you'd spotted one that most players would probably just walk straight past. With another collectible secured, we continued through the village until everything changed. The Draga. This is where combat really started opening up. Although the mechanics stayed fairly simple, the enemies became much more aggressive. Some attacked relentlessly, others forced us to dodge before creating an opening to counter. Because every encounter stayed small in scale, each fight felt meaningful instead of repetitive. After fighting our way through the Draga-infested village, we finally reached Fargamir and rescued him from execution. From there, he agreed to guide us through Iceland, becoming one of Senua's most important companions for the rest of the journey. As the chapter came to an end, another achievement appeared on the screen. The man in the middle, unlocked. Two chapters down, and the 100% run was still perfect. Following Fargamir and the rescue Thorgesta, we entered the volcanic region of Raholar. My goodness, these names. This chapter immediately felt different. The green landscape disappeared, replacing black volcanic rock and towering cliffs scarred by fire. Before following the others, we did what we had now become second nature. We searched the surrounding area, almost immediately uncovering another hidden face tucked behind a ruined building, followed closely by another law stone overlooking the valley. It was becoming increasingly clear that patience was key to this 100%. The further we traveled, the more puzzles stood in our way. Some required us to manipulate Senua's focus ability. Others opened hidden paths to more collectibles. Every time we solved one, we'd stop and search every possible route before moving forward. Eventually, our peaceful exploration came to an abrupt end. Iltuga, the fire giant. Instead of charging into battle immediately, the game built suspense masterfully. We caught brief glimpses of the giant moving through the landscape while desperately trying to escape its path. It created far more tension than simply throwing us into another boss fight. After surviving the chase, we eventually reached the Hidden Folks domain, ending another incredible chapter. By now, we'd collected almost half of the collectibles without missing a single one. Another Xbox notification appeared, another Xbox achievement unlocked. 3 chapters completed. The collectible hunt was still flawless. With 3 chapters behind us, we were officially over halfway through the game. More importantly, we hadn't missed a single collectible. That meant we could finally stop worrying about replaying previous missions and chapters. Almost immediately, the atmosphere changed once again. The volcanic landscape gave way to caves, forests, and hidden passages as we followed the hidden folk deeper into their world. This chapter focused less on combat and more on exploration, allowing the story to take center stage. As always, we searched every corner before moving forward. By now, it had become second nature. Every fork in the path meant going both directions. Every climb or hidden ledge was worth investigating in case another lore stone was waiting. We discovered another lore stone before continuing through the caves, slowly piecing together more of the world's mythology. With every collectible we found, the pressure slowly disappeared. The finish line was getting closer. Combat also returned throughout the chapter, and by now we'd completely settled into its rhythm. Every fight followed the same formula: wait, read the opponent, block, counter, dodge, or strike. Mechanically, it never becomes overcomplicated, but thanks to the incredible animations and sound design, every encounter remained satisfying right until the end. Eventually, we emerged from the Hidden Folks domain and reached another end of a chapter. As the cutscene finished, another Xbox achievement. From there, we continued towards Borovic. If you've been following along with the achievement list, you'll know this is arguably the most important chapter in the entire game, because this is where our collectible hunt finally comes to an end. With only a handful of collectibles remaining, we followed our pace even more than before. Every side path was explored, every edge of every cliff was checked, every hidden corner was investigated. Eventually, we found our final lore stone. After collecting it, that familiar Xbox notification appeared once again, unlocking the achievement for discovering every lore stone in the game. One major achievement down, but there was still one thing left to find: the final hidden face. Thankfully, it wasn't far away. After carefully scanning the environment one last time, the rock formation finally came into view. The face slowly revealed itself, and another Xbox notification appeared. The achievement for discovering every hidden face was finally ours. That was a very satisfying moment. Not because the collectibles were difficult, but because every single one had been found naturally during our first playthrough. No chapter select, no backtracking, no replaying entire levels. Just careful exploration from beginning to end. With every collectible finally secured, we could relax and simply enjoy the remainder of Senua's story. As we completed Borovic, another chapter achievement unlocked. 5 chapters finished, every collectible, and only one achievement remained. That finally brought us to Borgarvirki. With every collectible already secured, there was nothing left to distract us from the finale. Everything had been building towards this moment. As we made our way towards Borgarvirki, the truth behind the giants slowly became clear. Throughout the entire journey, we'd heard stories describing the giants as terrifying monsters capable of destroying everything in their path. But the closer we got, the more these stories began to fall apart. When we finally confronted the so called giant, we discovered something completely different. Not a mindless beast, but a frightened man. A man whose size and strength were very real, but whose legend had grown far beyond the truth because of fear, misunderstanding, and the stories people told about him. It completely changed the way I looked at everything that had happened throughout the game. The giant had always been real, just not in the way that we had imagined. Of course, before bringing Senua's journey to a close, there was still one final battle waiting for us. The last fight wasn't about flashy mechanics or an over-the-top boss encounter. Instead, it brought everything we had learned together: every block, every perfectly timed dodge, every carefully placed counterattack. The combat system had remained simple throughout the entire game, but in this final encounter, that simplicity really paid off. The fight felt tense, grounded, and incredibly personal. When the battle finally came to an end, Senua did not achieve victory through revenge. Instead, she chose compassion. Rather than allowing fear to control the outcome, she broke the cycle that had driven so much of the suffering throughout the story. It was the perfect ending for a game that had always been less about defeating monsters and more about understanding them. As the credits began to roll, another Xbox notification appeared, rewarding us for completing the final chapter. And then, the moment we'd been working towards since the very beginning, the final achievement unlocked, every chapter completed, every lorestone found, every hidden face discovered, and every achievement from the base game earned 100% complete. So, was Senua Saga Hellblade 2 worth completing 100%? Without a doubt. Not because it offers one of the hardest achievement lists, and not because it takes dozens of hours to complete. It is worth every single achievement because it encourages you to experience the game Ninja Theory intended. The collectibles slow you down, they encourage exploration, they make you appreciate the incredible environments instead of sprinting towards the next objective. And because of that, I ended up noticing details I probably wouldn't have missed during a normal playthrough. From beginning to end, this wasn't about chasing the game's achievements, it was about experiencing a journey. The achievements simply gave us a reason to see everything along the way. And with that final Xbox notification appeared on the screen, another game joins our growing list of 100% completions. And if you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe for more 100% completion adventures, and let me know in the comments which game we should tackle next. Until then, I'll see you on the next adventure.